F1 fans, welcome back to the F1 Masters podcast brought to you by AUBG Daily. It's me Vasco, Harry, David as usual, and we're going to discuss a pretty eventful Brazil Grand Prix. I think that was probably, I'm not sure about the best, but one of the best races throughout this season.
Definitely, yeah.
So we can start from practice.
Yeah, only one practice session as we had a sprint weekend, but McLaren looked like they were back to dominating 1-2. Hulk had an impressive P3, and we also had Red Bull and Ferrari lock out the last 4 positions in practice, and I actually got very concerned and was extremely surprised by what was happening. This, I would say, did not materialize for Ferrari in qualifying, but for Red Bull, it was somewhat of an accurate representation of their pace. But yeah, that was all from practice. No incidents, I think, as far as I'm aware. So we can just move on to the sprint quality.
And we can start off with Carlos Sainz being last, P20, which was unexpected for most of us. Then Hamilton was out in SQ2. He was P11, really close to qualifying for Q3. And then Leclerc was P8, which was a disappointment. Verstappen was in P6, which is low for him in recent times. Alonso actually managed to get a P5. Then Russell, Piastri, Antonelli, and Norris locked out the top 4. So Mercedes actually with a very impressive sprint quality.
Definitely, and another actually show of dominance of Lando Norris throughout the whole weekend. I think at that point, if he somehow manages to not win the championship, it would be really strange. And something else that I want to acknowledge, as a Red Bull fan, Yuki Tsunoda has been beyond disappointing. Like, with all his performances, like, I'm at this point right now that throughout some of the races during this season, when he was P8, P9, and I'm like, woohoo! What a great performance, which is super poor, which is really disappointing, both for the championship and also that Max doesn't really have somebody who can keep his back, and like he's fighting alone for both championships now, and I think that this is a sign that Yuki Tsunoda is not going to be in Red Bull like 105% from the next year. And moving back to the sprint quality, Pierre Gasly took the last point. We had great performance from Fernando Alonso, as you mentioned, the double Mercedes podium. And I think we can move to probably one of the strangest qualifying sessions that we've seen during this season, because we saw both Red Bulls being out in Q1, which like never happens. And we also saw Lewis Hamilton being out in Q2. And in Q3, we actually, I thought that there is going to be some hope, like somebody who can like at least challenge Lando Norris, and that was not really the case. Antonelli had a great qualifying session, but Lando Norris was once again above anybody else.
Yeah, Lando messed up his first lap, so it made the quality definitely much more interesting than it was probably going to be. Also wanted to go back on the sprint just to mention Gabriel Bortoletto's incredibly serious crash, and thank God he's okay. It was one of the biggest crashes of the year, honestly, that I'd seen. And we even had a red flag, but luckily everything went out as normal and the race continued. It was actually quite a weird sprint race because it was like wet, but they were driving with dry tires. And by the way, screw everyone that predicted rain for this whole weekend. Like, they were saying the race is going to be canceled, things like this. And there was not a single wet session throughout the whole weekend.
The biggest storm in history of Brazil is coming, and like it is dry throughout the whole weekend. And
yeah.
I don't know if you watched the footage from the stands of the Bortoletto's crash.
Mm-hmm.
The impact was like really, really serious.
Mm-hmm.
Glad that everything is all right with Gary.
Also, have to mention there were 3 crashes in a row at the same corner in the sprint. First, Oscar Piastri stepped in a puddle of water and crashed, and after that, Colapinto and Hülkenberg followed. And it was a really interesting sequence of crashes. It reminded us of Germany 2007, where it was like a similar thing with Lewis Hamilton. I don't remember. Was it Jensen Button? Like
there were like a lot of drivers involved then. But yeah, Oscar Piastri, Oh, that mistake, it pained me to see it, but it's really like the beginning of the end almost for him, which is a shame to see. But still, he had potentially the time to make it up in the race, but to, I guess, not really anyone's surprise, he failed to do so after, I would say, quite a dodgy penalty. But yeah, the race, the results were podium for Lando Norris gets another win, dominant win. Not as dominant as Mexico, but still led the whole race. Kimi Antonelli, very good, P2. And third place, the guy that started in the pit lane, Max Verstappen. How does he do it? We will never know. But this track, he is just always can make a comeback. It doesn't matter where he is in the race, he will find a way to get on the podium. I don't know how he does it, but yeah, another fantastic drive from Max Verstappen.
Yes, his driving was crazy good, and he switched power unit. He started from the pit, and after that, it was one of the commentators made a great reference. He was like, "Oh, Max Verstappen is driving like we're in a video game. Like everything seemed so smooth, so simple, and even in the beginning, he started with hard, and he had a puncture in his tire, and even though that happened, he still managed to beat P3, and he was actually really close to Kimi Antonelli. I think that, first of all, shout out to Kimi Antonelli, because his defensive driving was pretty serious, and I was really impressed from him. And for Verstappen, I think that with 2-3 more laps, he may have managed to overcome the Antonelli challenge. But still, super impressive. P3 in that race.
We can also discuss the race start, as Norris managed to hold off his lead, which was not occurrence which happened often last season at least. He has learned his lessons, I think. Russell had a kind of a slow start. I think he lost 1 or 2 places. And then Bortoleto made contact with Stroll and crashed out, unfortunately. For all Brazilian fans, it was a weekend to forget for him. I mean, it was sad how it all turned out, but, you know.
Yeah. It was I think the worst weekend of his F1 career. Like he had a crash in sprint. After that, he didn't even participate in the quali session, and after that, being out in the first lap in front of your home crowd, you have to feel bad for him, because it is like, yeah, he's a rookie. He can make some mistakes, but even the whole what happened throughout the race, it's not entirely his fault, at least not everything. And I hope that next year when he returns to Brazil, he has some kind of a redemption.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate. The incident with Lance Stroll was so strange. I've never seen anyone crash at that corner. It's kind of bizarre, but Lance Stroll can always invent new ways to take someone out. Other things that happened. We had Lewis Hamilton get hit into turn 1 and lose all of the positions possible, and then fighting Franco Colapinto, he just runs into the back of him, which was very strange. But he had so much damage on his car. He even somehow continued for like 30 laps or something. I don't even know why, but he did. Eventually he retired, but weekend to forget for him. And yeah, there were so many incidents at the start that we had a safety car and a restart. And the restart was probably the biggest moment of the race, as Kimi Antonelli really had a bad restart, did not time it well whatsoever. Leclerc went to the outside, Piastri goes down the inside. Piastri makes contact with Antonelli, which sends him into Charles Leclerc, who retires on the spot. And Piastri got a 10-second penalty as a result. What are your guys' thoughts on this incident? Because for me, I think Kimi Antonelli is the one to blame, because Charles Leclerc leaves him so much space, and he can use that space, and he's just pinching Piastri into the apex. And Piastri has nowhere to go, in my opinion. He was on side even inside before the braking zone, so I think Antonelli is to blame. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I agree, actually, and I also think that Antonelli could have left more spaces. Maybe he didn't notice that Piastri was there, like he didn't check his mirror, but still, like looking at the incident, you can see that Leclerc is like way to the outside, way down there. So yeah,
I cannot really decide. It's just like I think that Kimi Antonelli has more of a fault, but I think like if Piastri could have done something a bit different in order not to hit Antonelli, and I think that the penalty was probably deserved, but I'm not sure whether Antonelli should have had a penalty as well. And what I want to mention is that this is it the second or the third time that Antonelli is hitting Leclerc during a race? I think it is. Isn't it the third time?
He's hit him many times this year. Retired a second time because of Kimi Antonelli and Zandvoort as well. That was even worse. But I still don't understand how Kimi Antonelli can cause such a collision and gets no damage on his car and gets no consequence and can still just drive around in P2 as if nothing happened. Whereas Charles Leclerc, who takes the corner the most cautiously possible, is the one that gets his suspension absolutely shattered. But, when do you expect Ferrari to get any luck in any race? But yeah, anyways, after that, we had a virtual safety car, which is when Max Verstappen did make his pit stop. And I was like, why is he doing this? And I was so disappointed because if he did a one stop, he could have actually won the race. And it was so unfortunate. I felt like that he had this slow puncture. But still, even besides that, he began making moves, as you already mentioned about the video game. And I also wanted to mention the battles in the midfield were excellent. Like Isaac Hadjar and Pierre Gasly, I swear like every lap were overtaking each other. Ollie Behrman, P6 today in the race, very, very good. Nico Hulkenberg was incredible as well. I really enjoyed a lot of the racing throughout the race.
It's just that Interlagos always delivers. It's just like perfect track, and that is why it is my favorite. I cannot remember in recent times like a race in Brazil that was not entertaining.
I agree. And another thing that happened was, again, involving Yuki Tsunoda, as you already mentioned. He had a poor weekend once again. He misjudged his braking point and hit Lance Stroll and spun him, which was really bizarre. I don't know how Yuki Tsunoda does such things, but...
And then he got another 10-second penalty for failing to serve it properly. It's just...
absolute comedy, yeah.
I think that his mind is already somewhere out of F1.
I think, there were rumors recently that he's going to drive in IndyCar. Right?
It's honestly a strong possibility considering his F1 performance. I don't see how any team would take him, but...
Well, I think Alpine was the closest option, but
They
decided to
both
renew.
drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Their
the only available spots are in RB right now. That's it.
No, please.
But-
Oh.
No, they're not gonna
We're-
make him go there.
We're probably going to have Lindblad there, and actually, I don't know who.
Maybe Lawson, because Lawson is actually delivering at the end of the season.
Liam Lawson is... Liam Lawson, we haven't even talked about in this race. One-stop strategy, the only person to do it in the entire field. And he made it work, even though he had...
Wait, I think Nico Hülkenberg also had one.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I think it was only Lawson. How many laps did he have on the
He did like
mediums? 50?
almost 50 laps or something, yeah. He did 50 laps on the mediums, and he had like this train of 10 cars behind him covered in 6 seconds, and he held them off. And they didn't show it on the broadcast, but he had an insane battle with Isaac Hadjar where they even made contact, and they began arguing on the radio about this, but Liam Lawson managed to... Like, Hadjar attacked him, and then Liam Lawson re-overtook him and kept the position until the end of the race. It was really good racing and unbelievable on those tires because we saw actually the tire degradation was very high. And I thought what Liam Lawson did, because I thought RB had a really good start to the race. And then they just fell back, I felt like, and I was so confused at this. And then Liam Lawson with this strategy just out of nowhere gets up to P7 and keeps it in front of all of the people on fresher tires. Very impressed by him, honestly, very underrated drive.
So many things to discuss in that race because the overall weekend for racing rules was pretty good, and I think we talked before the start of the podcast that they're actually now sitting comfortably in front of Aston Martin and probably will grab that place because they have like 10 points advantage.
Yeah, but I mean, 10 points is still it can be overcome. Like, this is not...
Well, but we have 3 races, and Aston Martin, they don't look like a team that can go to Las Vegas and grab like 10 more points than Racing Bull. But we'll see. And another thing, is Oli Berman, and his weekend that I think because of the drive of Verstappen, because of both Ferraris being out during the race, and because of Lando Norris's win, the Antonelli Master drive, and everything, I think that people overlooked that Oli Berman in not the best cast, to be honest, managed P6 and managed great qualifying
It
sessions.
was it wasn't even just P6. Like he was in
Yeah.
he was running in the like top five for like half of the race, and he finished I think closer to the top cars than to the midfield behind him. which
Yes,
is
it was
incredible.
it was pretty impressive weekend, and actually in recent times, like Oli Berman has really delivered. He has become the guy at Haas because Ocon has been quite disappointing lately. Like uh, I think we talked about that last time, but was it that after summer break Ocon doesn't have has not qualified in points versus something like that?
I mean, he has 3 points since the summer break, but Ollie Behrman has a sixth, a ninth, a fourth, and a sixth. Like these are
Yes.
unbelievably
Yeah.
strong results.
So, but I think if Ole Berman continues like that, I think that the future is looking super bright in front of him.
I think that he's probably the next Ferrari driver after Hamilton retires. So yeah.
Yeah, or if Charles Leclerc decides that he will no longer be depressed, but we shall see. Yeah, also Haas up to 70 points. They're only 2 points behind Aston Martin. Very good as well for them. They need as many points as they can get because they are the team with the lowest budget. So as much prize money as they can get, they would highly appreciate it. But yeah, what else we can discuss? Yeah, Max Verstappen at the end of the race, he was on the tail of Kimi Antonelli, but his tires just began degrading. He was very fast in the beginning of that stint, but the softs just could not last like more than 10 laps. And he failed to overtake him, but still very impressive. And Oscar Piastri, even after his 10-second penalty, he did, I guess, well to finish fifth. I mean, could have gotten George Russell. He was suffering with brake issues, but he still couldn't manage to get him. But yeah, Oscar Piastri, this is now his fifth consecutive race off the podium. And when your teammate is winning back-to-back races, this is not how you're going to be able to win the championship. Just Lando Norris, I have to, like, bow down to Lando Norris. What he's done recently is incredibly impressive, and he actually finished first in every single session in Brazil. Very good performance. He is really locked in. Honestly, his mentality has extremely matured, and after his Zandvoort DNF, he has finished ahead of Oscar Piastri in every single race and has gone from being 34 points behind him to 24 points ahead, which is an incredible comeback, actually. So, yeah, this championship is really his to win at the moment. And Max Verstappen, as great as he's been driving, actually 7 consecutive podiums now for him, he is 49 points behind with 3 races to go. We cannot expect him to win this championship anymore, I don't think.
We have to be realistic. Yeah.
We can, but I think that at least he never gave up. Like for in every race he was like trying and there was a radio conversation in Brazil like with the before his last pit stop for softs, and he was like, okay, we have nothing to lose, let's try it, let's go. He knows that his car is slower, but at the same time he knows that like whatever depends on him, he would do it. And I want a quick comment on who is going to be ninth in the championship, because there's so many drivers that are separated in so few points. Like the points gap between Nico Hülkenberg, who is ninth, and Liam Lawson, who is 14th, is only like 7 points. And we also have Lance Stroll, who is with 32, and something like that. This is like for the battle, the best of the rest. Alex Albon has taken it like a long time ago, but for the best of the even rest, who would be the next guy?
I think if Oli Berman keeps up his form, he can actually claim that title, but I'm not sure. It really depends on the 3 races left and how Haas are gonna perform there.
Yeah.
And probably some luck.
Yeah.
Also, you need that sometimes.
Yeah, luck is somewhat of a factor, but I think these last 2 races, like Ollie Behrman, he got these results on pure pace, so it wasn't even like luck. I think Ollie Behrman should get this based on the form he's currently on. He's been driving incredibly well, and I've been very impressed by him. Who else? I mean, I don't know. Maybe someone like Carlos Sainz, if that. But that Williams is so inconsistent. It's just like, at the end of the season they've dropped off in development. Alex Albon has not finished in the points in the last 5 races, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah, Carlos Sainz, he had quite a miserable race, honestly. I think he was just involved in too many things. He had damage throughout the whole race, I heard on an interview. So, yeah, I think it's Ollie Behrman or Nico Hulkenberg, who is starting to find form again after really a mid-season slump after his podium. But he's had 2 points finishes in the last 3 races. So, yeah, Nico Hulkenberg is also a viable option.
I think that some of the racing boosts, and especially Hadjar, I think that he may be the guy that may just grab 9, but we would see 3 races to go. And something else, we also discussed it last time, but with Lewis Hamilton, and was it that both of you predicted that he would get on the podium like at least once till the end of the season?
Yeah.
I told you last time I don't see it, and I don't see it. I don't see it now as well, and I think that this season has been quite miserable for him, and most of the time actually because of reasons that are, well, he doesn't really have a fault for that. It's either the team or some other drivers. There has been a moment throughout the season that Lewis has been quite poor, but somehow after that he managed to at least find some tempo in that Ferrari. But I think overall his whole first season in Ferrari has been one to forget.
Yeah, I think it's might be his worst season in F1, just purely from a results base. And Brazil, we already discussed. Ferrari double DNF, but it was so bad for Ferrari that they went into this race second in the constructors. They're now fourth in the constructors. They're behind a one-man team. And if Ferrari, with drivers like Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, fail to finish behind Red Bull in the constructors, this would be, I would say, one of the most embarrassing constructors results. More embarrassing than 2020. I don't care how bad the car was. The drivers actually performed to the best of their capabilities. But in this season, like one driver against two, and it's like two really high-class drivers, and they fail to beat Red Bull in the constructors, just fire the whole administration at this point.
I can only hope that would happen. Not that think about administration. Keep everybody there at Ferrari. They're doing the worst job possible, and I love it. But I hope that Red Bull are going to finish above Ferrari. It would be so fun.
And I can say after Brazil that Mercedes are pretty much safe on getting second place because they got so many points in Brazil. Like they got a podium, they got points in the sprint. So I think that it's a safe bet that Mercedes will finish second.
Most probably, if there is not some kind of cataclysm, like in the next race, Antonelli decides to crash in Brazil, I think that it is pretty safe, second place. And is there anything else that we have to discuss? Pretty eventful.
Yeah.
Race.
I mean, we can go on to now our highlights of the weekend, I suppose. I can start. My highlight of the weekend is Lando Norris. He's proven the haters wrong, me included. And yeah, I guess I have to prepare to say Lando Norris, world champion of F1. Still would sound very strange, but he is backing it up on track. He's locked in. Very impressed. Congrats to Lando Norris.
Do I like it? No. Does he deserve it? Yes. So yeah, we'll have to deal with that and hope that it never happen again. But my highlight of the weekend is Max Verstappen. Amazing redemption drive, and I just love to see the way he's driving. A lot of people don't like him, and this may be because of his personality, because he races for Red Bull. But I think there is one thing that nobody can disagree with, and this is that he's just amazing. It is fascinating to watch his driving.
I have a question actually about Max Verstappen's comeback drives in Brazil. Out of his three most iconic 2025, 2024, and 2016, how would you rank them from most impressive to least impressive?
I'm not sure because this one was pretty impressive, but in the end he was still third. But we have to take into consideration that his car is much weaker than, let's say, last year, and I really don't know. I cannot rank them, but I think that this is going to be remembered as one of his best drives, even though he was still third. But yeah, I would put them all equally, and I will just rewatch them in the years to come, and I will be like, these guys.
Yeah, shout out to Max Verstappen for his mentality and comeback, and also Lando Norris for proving all of us wrong. And my highlight was the close racing and many overtakes in Sao Paulo. As Vasco said, this track always delivers, and this was one of the best weekends of the year, as it was really like close racing, a lot of overtakes, and some beautiful, moments. And we can move on to the surprise and disappointments of the weekend. I'll start. My surprise, Kimi Antonelli. He actually finished P2 in all sessions, like sprint, qualifying, and race, which is very impressive. Real consistent, even though maybe he deserved a penalty for the incident with Piastri and Leclerc. Still, other than that, it was a pretty almost perfect weekend, you can say. And disappointment, Gabi Bortoleto, we already mentioned, in front of the whole home crowd. Very disappointing. Should have turned out better, but this is F1. So.
Yeah, my highlight of the weekend is... not highlight of the weekend. My surprise is Liam Lawson. I didn't think that strategy was possible whatsoever, but he managed to make it work, and no one overtook him. Unbelievable. Shout out to Liam Lawson, because I feel like he didn't get enough love during this race. My disappointment, actually, while talking throughout this podcast, I realized my disappointment is that Brazil is not the final race of the season anymore. But, Abu Dhabi, they have the money, they can afford being the last race of the season, sadly. My disappointment of the weekend, shock, it's Ferrari, double DNF. What can you do? Another day, another miserable day. But yeah, you get used to it, as a Ferrari fan. Only 3 more races to go, and then we can finally rest on a grateful universe. Yeah, and that's my surprise and disappointment.
My disappointment, Gabi Bortoleto, and I already said it is just that in front of the home crowd, it is just so sad to see him not being involved in any racing actually. And also shout out to Ferrari, amazing weekend. Hope to have more of that in the years to come. And at one point during the race, I was thinking after the second DNF, I was thinking of calling David just to check whether everything is okay.
Good thing you didn't call, because we watched the race later. So
yeah. And my surprise was Racing Bulls actually set 7th and 8th. Pretty great result. As we said, they are running away with a higher place in the championship, which is good for them. Also, shout out Oli Bergman, lovely weekend from you. And we have predictions.
Yeah, actually, none of us got any of our predictions right for Brazil.
I was this close.
Yeah.
I was this close.
Yeah, each one was interesting. I said Williams to score double points in both sprint and race. Williams are nowhere in recent times, so this was really far from
happening. They didn't score points throughout the entire weekend, right?
Yeah, actually. Very disappointing weekend for Williams. We didn't mention that. And I said Ferrari podium in either sprint or race.
Can we stop with these Ferrari podium predictions, please? They will never, ever materialize if we predict them.
We should just predict them every week. Be one, so with the fastest lap.
Yeah.
My predictions, I said Piastri would retake the championship lead. My second prediction, Antonelli won't finish in the points. Yeah. What's Vasco's predictions?
Well, one of my predictions was that there are going to be 2 safety cars.
And the other one, 2 for McLaren.
Well, actually, that wasn't that far away, because Piastri, without the penalty, Piastri was probably... He had a shot for P2.
Yeah.
And I was super close to both my predictions, but they did not materialize. And I don't know. Next time I would predict that Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri are not going to crash with each other.
Well, speaking of next time, let's hear your predictions for next time for the Las Vegas Grand Prix.
For Las Vegas Grand Prix, I think that would be a track we discussed it that is going to suit Mercedes really well, and I think that we're going to see a Mercedes win. Did I say George Russell?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, George Russell, but if it is Kimi Antonelli, also fine. Like, I don't care as long as it is not any of the McLarens or the Ferraris, especially the Ferraris.
Don't worry, that's not realistic.
Yeah, I know. And my second prediction was that we would have a driver that is outside of the top 4 teams that would qualify in the first 3 cars in the quali session. And this is a bit unrealistic, but I would be really interested to see, like, I don't know, Fernando Alonso, Isaac Hadjar, Ollie Berman, Lance Stroll. he does that like once in every 3-4 years.
Turkey's no longer in the calendar, unfortunately.
Yes, but he also he did that in Baku, I think, like a long time ago when he was.
He did it in Monza, I think.
Yeah, 2019.
In Baku, he finished on the podium.
Yeah.
Yeah, he finished on the podium, but didn't he qualify like a really high up the pit? Okay, this is so long ago, but still, I think that any of the rest of the 6 teams, they'll have one pilot that is going to be in top 3. Like strange, I don't know.
Pierre Gasly.
Yeah, strange pole position for Liam Lawson.
It would be nice to see. My predictions to go along with the George Russell win, I suppose, is that Lando Norris will not win the race. A little more vague, so that giving options for the Ferraris to potentially win the race. And my other prediction is that both Haas cars will be in Q3.
Interesting. Hasn't happened in a while.
Hasn't happened in a while, but I think that they are on form and they can finally do it.
Okay. My prediction again concerns Mercedes. Both Mercedes on the podium. I believe in the team. I know that Las Vegas is one of their favorite tracks. And Aston Martin in the points. So I hope what Vasco said about quali, like Fernando Alonso manages to somehow pull off a P3 or P4, and he gets some points because they deserve some points at the end of the season.
Yeah, it would be lovely to see like a dominant performance from Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, like getting 1-2 in quali, and after that getting 1-2 in the race.
Total domination.
Total domination.
But yeah,
Lawrence Stroll to be like, I'm so proud. Like these are my boys. And yeah, I think we can wrap it up. It was a successful hate watch of Ferrari once again. I think that I just things that you'd love to see.
Yeah. This is all for today from us. We're looking forward to the next episode. Till then, like, subscribe, and follow us on AUBG Daily on Instagram and Facebook. And stay tuned for more of our content. Thank you. And remember,
if you no longer go for a gap that exists,
You're no longer a racing driver.